probably have you break it down. I know you're saying the fruit potential's in the seed.
Mm-hmm.
Was that what it's saying? The potential's in the seed of the fruit. And we're talking about the core of the fruit. When I think fruit, I think of fruits of your labor. So if you're working towards something, what you're producing, right?
And I think that's the idea of where it's coming from. Where if when you do have the fruit of your labor, there's a certain amount that's going to sustain you to keep working,
Right.
right? So you got to pay for your haircuts. You know what I mean? You got to pay for your food. You got to pay for everything that sustains you to keep farming,
Okay.
right? But then sometimes there's a little bit of the core when you get to the core. So the metaphor there is that every fruit actually has seeds within it. So
Okay.
the idea is that when you earn fruit, are you looking at the fruit you're earning as also being an early seed? Right? So it's a little bit of a metaphor play there to say you have the fruit, you're taking what you need to sustain where you are, you're giving little pieces to those to whom you're responsible to feed. And then in the core, there's actually seeds that you can use, right? So I'm actually looking at it a little bit from an investing perspective as well, right? Like
I'm there
you,
with
you
you.
see what I'm saying? Like
I'm
I'm
going on
looking
that
at it
road
like me
too.
being a financial, guy. I'm looking at it as a nice way to communicate with people about how they need to, kind of take care of their money, right? So when you get your fruit every month, are you eating the entire thing, or are you waiting and then at the very core, taking that and planting the core, right? So you can look at it from an investment perspective as well.
Big time.
So again, I think there's a good metaphor there. And whether or not you want to look at that from the perspective of investing, of tithing, of saving, of anywhere along those lines, I think all of those apply. But the biggest metaphor is that you have within every fruit, there's within every fruit bears its own seeds, which I think is an interesting way to look at it.
I like that. I'm going just dissecting it in my mind. I'm thinking if we're talking about fruit in the sense of money, not necessarily in the sense of outcome,
Right.
because I guess you can say fruits of your labor. You're putting forth effort, you're putting forth labor, you're putting forth intention to receive or to generate an outcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cause and effect, to get an effect. It's kind of hard to look at the effect as a replanting. But if we look at fruit in the sense of a monetary resource, meaning you're getting paid for your labor, you're getting paid for your effort, you're getting paid for your intention,
Right.
you're getting paid for your service. Now, we can say that money is your fruit.
Right.
So now what we do with that fruit, okay, do we go and waste that fruit? Okay? And so they're saying that what I'm taking is your fruit, the money,
Yeah.
also can be used to generate and bring you more fruit itself
Right.
outside of your own effort. And so that makes me look at in the financial sense, like you said, being a financial person, investing or leveraging your money to make more money, making your money go to work for you. We hear that all the time, right? Are you making your money work for you versus are you just always working for your money?
Right.
And then we can dissect different ways we can make our money work for us. Investing or also building. You know, you can invest in stocks and bonds, or you can reinvest into your dreams, your goals, and your aspirations, right? And your focuses. And so are we leveraging that money to reinvest into our goals, or are we using our fruit to feed distractions?
Yep.
Are we feeding distractions, or are we feeding our goals?
Or are we throwing the core out the window?
Or are we wasting the money?
Right. Right. Think about it. If you eat an apple, when you get to the seeds, you get to the core. What do you do with it? You go plant 5 trees? You could. Could you take those seeds and go plant more apple trees? You could. But how many of us don't? Right. So I think that therein lies the metaphor too, is that when you receive fruit, when you earn fruit, when you farm fruit, are you looking at every piece of fruit as also a seed? into what else can be done with that fruit? Or are you discarding it as, oh, I don't need that. I've already gotten what I needed from the fruit, and then throw it away? In theory. You see what I'm saying?
You know, it's interesting. That leads me back to our last episode of that quote with Tony Robbins that says, you know, when things are going very well, we tend to party. And when things are going bad, we tend to ponder. And the pondering is what actually makes us go back into growth mode,
Right.
to grow more fruit, to obtain more resources, right? To be someone who can inspire good things to happen. So then once we're in that growth mode and we get the fruit, right? And we reap what we've sown, we go to party. And I think about a party in a literal sense. What are you doing at a party? You're wasting a lot of money. And not only are you really wasting money, you're kind of wasting time, right? And so it's like, okay, once we put forth a lot of effort, once we've done a lot of good things, once we went through that growth mode, now we're starting to abundantly attract all these good happenings into our lives and opportunities like you were discussing last time. So now what are we doing with those opportunities? Are we going to sit back and party, right? Awesome. Or are we going to stay in that growth mode to generate and use those opportunities as a stepping stone to create a next opportunity? But the only way that we can allow those opportunities to generate additional opportunities is by continuing to plant seeds, continuing to stay in that growth mode, you know, versus wasting our time because we feel like we've made it. It's almost like someone who's on a diet. You go on a 90-day plan, right? And you diet and you sacrifice and you don't eat and you fast. You lose all this crazy weight. And you're like, great. And then you get shredded and you look in the mirror and you're like, I look so good. I feel so good. Oh man, go me, right? Take a minute to applaud yourself, pat yourself on the back. It's really important. But now after that, does that dilute that fire that created the effort that made you want to go back in the yard and till the soil and plant those seeds so that you can receive that good body? And so now we're so enamored by the results of our work ethic and our effort. Do we then go and eat the pie, eat the cake, eat the cookies, and treat ourselves too much? To then now we've wasted all this fruit. We wasted the results. We generated this outcome. Are we going to waste it? Or we leverage the knowledge that we've obtained, we can look at as fruit as well, to continue to reinvest in ourselves, to continue to stay on the path of planting and tilling the land and tending to your soil, right? To make sure that you're continuing to generate more and more and more and more fruit abundantly. You know, a lot of times they analyze farmers in that regard, and they show that the farmers do a whole lot of shit before the sprouting, right? Before that sprouting season. They're out there doing a lot of stuff to get this hay, to get it, dragging the land and all this water. It almost looks like it's a waste of time because there's no fruit being generated. But the farmer knows something. He knows that 8 months out the year, he has to tend that land, tend that soil in order for it to generate fruit. And the moment that you get excited at this new crop and a new great season, right? And all the fruit, oh, we sold, made all this money. And then you kind of sit back on your morals, and you say, okay, well, and we can chill for a little bit. We can relax now. Now, if you relax 3 months out of that 8-month process, you're probably going to be behind the 8 ball and not going to generate as much fruit as possible. So, and it leads me, I'm trying to take it a different direction, right? So then we can kind of branch off on it of reinvestment of our time and our energy, and almost a reinvestment of the consistency. So I'm looking at investing money. We all kind of know that, right? That's pretty easy to understand. If you take money and invest it in good places, good resources, generally that money is going to result in a great outcome, right? It's almost like a wholesale home. You find a home, you invest in it, boom. Now you take your money, boom, you build it up. Now you sell it. Now you receive a greater return than what you put into it. That's more fruit. Then you take that money, boom, you go buy another home, okay, with that money. You don't take that money and then go buy a Bentley and a Maserati and just chill in a jet, you know what I mean, and just have fun. You take that money and then you reinvest in another property, right? And then you do the same thing with that property. And you get more fruit from that property. You take that money and reinvest it. And you see like CEOs do this all the time. They take the profits of the company, and sometimes they allow themselves to be a net neutral. They don't bring anything home. They just keep reinvesting the profits, boom, reinvesting the profits, boom, to build, to stay in that growth mode so that the company can be vast. Now, it's funny. I came across this little deal today on, I believe it was Instagram, and it was showing a side-by-side comparison of the CEO's earning potential through the year versus their top producer of their product earning potential. And more times than not, the top producer generated more income than the doggone CEO of the company, right? And sometimes they generated about the same. But it said something to me, right? It said something that the investment and the production of fruit is way more important than what I have in my pocket.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like using it. I don't know. So it's just sparked a couple thoughts in me.
And how many of us didn't really think of that as a metaphor when we were younger, of using our energy that way, right? I know that I wasted a lot of energy, right? And I think if we look at energy and use the word energy the same way we would use the word money, right? Money, all that money is stored up energy in theory. So guys that I know that have serious money, they use it like energy.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what can they do with it? They can buy other people's energy in a way, right? So if I can take X amount of dollars, which is a dormant material, but I could use that to buy the energy of 10 other people. Now that money actually equals energy. So now how many of us really thought of when we were younger, how our energy could be used to build our character, right? It's the old adage that like Andrew Tate talks about all the time. There's like the idea of building a video game character. And anyone that's played, single shooter and they're like, look at the guns I've accumulated. Look at the physique I've accumulated. Look at all these things that I've accumulated in this video game. Right? Because you earn those along the way. Back in the day from like Zelda, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, well, now I have the double sword or whatever, right?
You saved it.
Correct. But how many people really look at their energy the same way you could be looking at money? How are you using your money? How are you using your energy? Like right now, if we look at our energy in the same way and do something like this takes energy.
Yeah.
Right. When you and I sit here and record this, we put energy out in the universe.
Big time.
We are spending energy to do this with the thought that the person watching this is going to consume it. And one of two things is going to happen. They're going to get energy from it. Now,
it's a gift.
Correct. Now the question is, can you and I up our talent of delivering that energy so that when we put that energy into the universe, 1,000 other energy beings create a higher energy, which then gives us more energy and we don't even know it. Like now I'm going to really get on some woo-woo shit.
Come on.
Right? Come on. Because if you think about it, why do you think so many, if you think about performers, right, when they're in the zone, they're in that arena, and people are cheering for them or booing for them or booing against them, what's being happened is that there's an energy exchange, right? People are actively using their energy to cheer, using their energy to boo. And all you have to do is to position yourself in the arena to absorb their energy and say thank you. With your energy, good or bad, and I know that that's one of the things that I'm currently working on right now, is how do I absorb the energy from the universe? Not just cheers. I used to be only solely focused on cheers. Right? When you do things and you want people to cheer you on, you want people to support you, you want your friends and family to say, hey man, we support you. Because that's the one type of energy, one type of fuel. But now, can you then harness negative energy and realize that a high level of vibration is also jealousy and envy? So how can you maybe even intentionally poke the bears to generate a little bit of that jealousy and envy. Maybe you got to walk around the gym with a scowl on your face
Hey,
and let people
so you can receive.
correct.
So you can
Correct.
Yeah.
Because now, you couldn't be like, oh, I have the great physique, and I'm gonna look. People are gonna admire. Admiration is a form of energy, right? But it's one type of energy. But then the question is that can you also harness the energy of jealousy and envy? That's the next level. That's the next level. So now, as an example, I'm not saying I would ever do something like this personally. I would never. Oh, you know. But if, hypothetically speaking, a person were to go into, let's say, an arena, Conor McGregor, okay? Perfect example. The act that Conor McGregor presented to the world was partially intentionally to rub people the wrong way because he knew that energy was energy. Muhammad Ali, the way he even said before he passed away, his career would not have been his career if not for George Foreman. And what did he do? A man that believed in peace, a man that believed in love, a man that believed in living a righteous life, ridiculed and attacked people just to create that energy in the universe, to create haters. The older I get, the more thankful I am of haters.
Man.
Because I was sold the wrong bill of goods.
We were sold the wrong story.
We were sold a bill of goods to say it's great to be loved and admired for what you can achieve.
No.
But then the question is that can you get just as much energy from the universe if you play the bad guy sometimes? And I think the perfect example of that, Conor McGregor, Muhammad Ali, right? Even Jordan to an extent.
Jordan to a great extent.
Correct.
Kobe to a great extent.
Correct.
Tom Brady to a great extent.
Correct.
I mean,
They even had their own teammates.
Come on now.
Right. So now, here lies the question. How do we take that example and apply it to our lives on a scale that we can handle it first? Because I don't think that the vast majority of people can handle it right away. I know that I probably wouldn't have been able to, a couple of years ago. Because if you grow up in the light where this is the nutrition that you're used to, and then all of a sudden you said to me, Mach, once you have the muscles, it's okay to get your carbs from, I don't know, something that's, from Rice Krispie treats. Right? And someone might say like, wait. What you're telling me is that if I have a terrible food for me before I work out, that helps? You'd be like, yep. But I thought Rice Krispie treats were bad. And you're like, they are, but if you intentionally ingest them at a time, that's strategic. Conor McGregor is worth $2 billion or whatever he's worth because he harnessed the energy of envy. He harnessed the energy of haters. If we look at anyone that has gotten to the highest echelons of success, the only way they did it was by harnessing the energy of hatred, jealousy, and envy to coincide the energy that they receive from admiration. And a perfect example of that is Andrew Tate. That's a perfect example of it. He will intentionally poke and word things in a way that he knows will get a rise out of people. He could eloquently put things in a way that a politician would. See, politicians can't play that game.
No.
Politicians have to play the game that you have to like them. So when you meet someone and you can feel that everything that they're doing and saying is that you can try to get them to like you, to like them, you don't really fuck with that person. Because you're like, man, like they're a people pleaser. Everything they say is to whoever they're in front of.
Right.
Like we all know that person who's the way they communicate changes drastically. Now, I'm not one to say that everyone's communication shouldn't change slightly to their audience. Okay, like, you're talking to a kid versus you're talking to a senior versus you're talking to an elder of your home. Like your communication should change slightly. But we all know that person that in the locker room, they're completely one way. And then when they're in front of other people, it is drastic. And you're like, that's not the you that I know. Right? And I know that I probably fell in that category for a certain part of my life. Why? Because you're trying to play the game where you're saying the way to get energy in this world is to get others to buy what you're selling, to buy who you are. And you want to change who you are to be able to get them to buy into it, because that's going to give you the resources you need to continue so that you can survive. But the crux, the position to that is that you can use just as much jealousy and envy by stirring that up. And then when you get really good at it, to do it intentionally. That's when it gets fun. As an example, perhaps walking around the gym with a scowl on your face.
Brimlow.
Done. Letting people look like, what's that guy's? Absorb it. Yeah, give it to me. Ooh, yeah, give it to me. Ooh, yeah, across the gym. Yeah, give it to me. Not engaging, not attacking, not being aggressive towards anything or anyone in that situation, but just in it, letting the eyes come, right? The same thing can be said. I think that, you know people, of course you do, that have, let's say, luxury cars. And I would guarantee if you were to ask one of them tomorrow, you say, what was the biggest surprise you got when you first started driving that Ferrari?
Right.
And you know what their answer, I would think, would be? The amount of side eye they got.
Boom, boom, boom.
Right? Your brother was in the NFL for a number of years, right?
Yeah.
Right. So when he came back from the NFL, or when he was in the NFL, how many of his boys were giving him side eye? Who put in the work?
How many friends did he lose?
Correct.
How many family members stayed distant?
Correct. And again, now, like, the modern thing is throwing shade. Throwing shade is the immature, feminine way to think about it.
Give me that shade.
Correct. And that's what.
Learn how to catch it.
Correct. That's personally what I'm working on. Now, to get it to the next level, now it's, okay, how do I poke them intentionally? And then ready for it with my little battery meter. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
it's like kicking the tree to get the coconuts.
Yes. Kicking the hive. Kicking the beehive to get the honey.
Aye.
Let's go. You might take a couple stings, but if you do it with a bee suit on, okay. You can't touch me. But if you're like, oh, hold on, don't go near the beehive, you might get stung, or
got the spiritual suit on.
Correct. Or you could put that suit on, that armor of God, that beekeeper suit, and be like, boop. Bzz, bzz. You're just chilling, you over there getting the honey, put it in a jar, tying it up, and they buzzing.
Yeah.
But you know what's gonna happen? You know something funny? What's gonna happen after you close that jar? You leave, you mind your business. There's gonna be more honey. Because all those bees are gonna go back to doing what they do. Because they're fucking bees.
Just knowing who you are.
That's who they are. So let the bees be bees. But now the question is that, are you
a bee or a bear?
Strong enough? Huh?
You a bee or a bear?
Correct. And then are you strong enough? Now a bear could be, but then again, now a bear also has like a rhinoceros. I think this is like too much skin or something crazy, right?
The bear going to get that honey.
But they'll take it and they'll be like,
well, unaffected by that.
And like they'll be like, right, exactly. So then therein lies the question: is that when we sold a bill of goods of not understanding how we can also harness jealousy and envy and hatred as a vibration, and not deciphering or bucketing one to be good or bad. Fuel is fuel. So now that we know this, or now that this is what we believe, I should say, now that if this is what we believe, how can we be intentional to kick over the beehive every now and then?
Man.
Comma, as long as you're ready with a bee suit on. Because you see the beekeepers up in there, they don't give a fuck.
No.
They chilling. Why? Because they understand, like, oh, got it. If I want honey, I gotta get this. How do I get one of these suits? Well, I just gotta buy one? Got it. And then I can harness the energy of 1,000 bees. Now, right? So now we're talking, right? So now it's like, all right, how can we intentionally do that? Conor McGregor would not be who he is. Floyd Mayweather would not be who he is. 50 Cent would not be who he is had they not harnessed the power of intentionally creating and attaining and ingesting jealousy, envy, and hatred as fuel. Now, how can you take that lesson and deploy it into your life? That has to be a question that you answer. But I think if you look at that from a realization perspective, I think if you take that information with it, with what you want, then get the skin going, get yourself a bee suit, figure out what hive you want to start with, and then being intentional about it. I mean, think about it. I remember this interview. Conor McGregor was in Brazil. He was in Brazil. And it was the days of Conor being Conor. Arms
big
swinging.
Bravado.
Big bravado.
Confidence on the move.
And he's like, I'm the king of Brazil. He's like, your country is ugly. I'm the king of Brazil. I'll go to any favela. It's an interview, I'm telling you.
Dude, it's different.
Google Conor McGregor favela. And be like,
different.
I'll go to any favela. I'm the king of Brazil. In Brazil. It's crazy. So I think the big lesson there is, how do we look at some very high achievers? I think they knew something that we don't know. And I think that lesson is that, and Nikola Tesla said it. He said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to think in terms of vibration and energy and vibration. Now, those of us that do want to live in a state of love all the time, fantastic, which is something that we can do. But the question is that if we want to look at time and money as energy, can we get good enough that we can harness the energy of a different vibration and still use that vibration for what we need it for? Therein lies the question. And then when you can understand that perspective, now intentionally figure out where you are on your path and going in and figuring out who your Goliath is, right? Like that's the whole David and Goliath thing. Do you have that energy? Do you have that power? And do you have the audacity to say that thing right there? I mean, look at the movie of like Jerry Maguire where they did that. Or Gladiator, right? It was always us against them. It was having the audacity to take on an enemy. And I think that there might need to be a lot of people out there, maybe even us included, where we need to define our enemy and attack. Go on the offense. Do you see what I'm saying? Go on the offense. So maybe someone in the fitness industry might go on the offense and be like, all right, I'm going to go on the offense against Coca-Cola. Against something crazy. Because you're like, that's my Goliath.
Oh, yeah.
That's my Goliath.
Oh, yeah.
And there are companies out there like different beverages right now, Olipop, or all the different beverages that are out here right now. If they would have said, hey, by the way, you're about to take on the carbonated drink world, are you out of your mind? No, because they figured out who they were and they attacked the Goliath. So, again, I think the interesting takeaway from there is that how do you harness the energy of jealousy, envy, and hatred, intentionally making you stronger with it? And it's not easy to do. It took me a very long time to even come to that conclusion. And I saw a great interview with Andrew Tate, and he talked about a lot of this. And the way he worded it, I was like, you know what? That makes absolute and perfect sense. And so I think the question is, if you don't have any enemies, you need some.
I'm throwing it back to another episode we had a while ago.
Yeah. If Jordan didn't have the
Create
Pistons,
one.
remember when Jordan had the Pistons?
Yeah.
Well, Warriors.
It brought the best out of them. And let me just say, man, you were on one. That was money. I have a whole page of notes just off of that, brother. That was powerful, and it got me fired up. I think I should sweat it even more. It got me so fired up.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, think about it.
God.
Because I feel like, like, and we're walking in, and maybe this is an episode that you and I are going to watch back together one day. I hope we do. I hope me and you were sitting there with our sons running around, and I could see it, and I could feel it. Look at this, again, goosebumps.
Man, I'm
thinking
telling you,
about it, right?
I'm telling you.
They run it, and it's like the way we harness that energy that got us to the next level is how do we take that? And again, that's why I use the metaphor. And like I was feeling it last week at the gym. There's a couple of people in the gym that fucking hate me. I mean, hate me.
Yeah.
I can see it in their eyes.
Oh yeah.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look.
Yeah.
Watch me.
Come on.
Watch me. Boom.
Oh yeah, man.
Not slipping.
One word that brings to mind is altitude.
Uh-huh.
And I'll explain it, but just think about that. Altitude.
Yeah.
And I'll throw out a few things. It's only at the top. Why? We'll dissect that later. Think about greatness. Let's throw that up there on the board too. It's not easily obtainable. It's not a lot of people. You're gonna run out. You're not gonna have enough fingers to get to how many people are great. How many people really receive greatness, and how many people are actually taught what greatness is and how to cultivate it and how to obtain it. Perfect. Are we being raised or being influenced by people who have achieved greatness to show? And generally, if somebody did achieve greatness and now they're being influential, they're generally going to show what it really, really takes. And through that, right, they might be speaking in front of the audience and they're like, hey man, there's 1,000 people in here, but 2 of you are actually going to get up and do what I'm telling you to do. And I think it's because, like what you said, we've been sold the wrong bill of goods. Yep. We've been told everybody should love us. In order for everybody to love us, we need to fit in. In order to fit in, we can't shine too bright. We can't distance ourselves from the pack because we have to fit into something that's already there. But if we feel uniquely different because we're trying to change something and be great at it, then how can we fit into the pack and the pack ain't great? How does that happen? And I just think about altitude. Think about a plane, right? Boom. You got jet packs. We've only been told how to generate fuel from one jetpack and wonder why our altitude gets limited. Because they don't teach us how to harness the other side of the jetpack of life, which is love and hate. They're both energy sources. And so if you're trying to increase your altitude, but you find yourself stagnant, probably because right when we get to the point to where we start receiving that hatred, we don't know what to do with it. It knocks you off the trajectory. It knocks you off the climb. The air is thin up there because very few know how to harness the hatred as well as the love, both as the same simultaneous energy source to propel you through that next level of altitude that we call greatness, to where you're cruising now. That brings me back to life, pain and pleasure. Everything in life is about a yin and a yang. It's a contrast between good and bad, positive and negative. Even you think about energy, polarity, right? Positive, negative. That's just the way it is. When you study physics, you talk about ohms, you talk about energy currents, you talk about electricity. It can't flow without the opposite charge. It just can't do it. And so when we're thinking about life, we're thinking about greatness, we're thinking about shining unapologetically. In order to shine, right? And we think about Conor McGregor, these people probably would not have been able to shine and beam their talent and beam who they are and their essence as brightly as they felt it could be shined if they weren't willing to be unapologetic. And the unapologetic is because some people aren't going to like it.
Right.
I'm sorry. I got to do it anyways.
Right.
And that's when we see the greats. They're unapologetic. It's not that they're going around smacking somebody in the mouth, pissing people off. When you walk around the gym, you're not intentionally going to bother anybody. You're just being you.
That's it.
And here's the craziest thing. Just being you alone, if you're courageous enough to shine, is going to bring love and admiration as well as hatred and envy and jealousy. It's going to happen. And so
if you have the courage to shine.
If you have the courage to shine.
Turn your dimmer off.
Boom. And so when we reach that level, we reach that ceiling where it says, okay, Now you're about to increase your altitude above the pack. This is what you've always wanted. This is what you feel like you're deserving of. This is what you feel like you're here for. This is what you feel like you're built for. This is what you work hard, diligently, put forth the effort. You tilled the soil. You planted the seeds. You did all of this stuff to get here.
Right.
Now, what they didn't tell you coming up is that now come the hatred, because people hate what they don't understand, right? They hate that mirror moment reflection of how are they still going past where we're at? And it's a mirror moment to say what I'm not doing. What are they doing that I'm not doing? What are they doing that I'm scared to do? How are they willing to face their enemy in the face, that Goliath? How are they willing to courageously trek on through the fear, to keep going forward, to face that Goliath? And so many of us run. So many of us shine, and as soon as we get a little hatred, we shine. And as soon as we get the naysayers, somebody say one bad thing to us, somebody give us one little bad scholar. Ooh, am I doing too much? Yes. That's what you have to do to be great. You have to be willing to do too much. And it's not too much to you. It's only too much to the other people who are watching you. And a lot of times they're not mad at you. They're mad at because you're telling them something that they have not come to terms with in themselves. They have not been willing.
Exactly. To let their light shine.
Through the fear and through the hatred. And so now that you are, it's less about, oh, forget this guy. It's more like, calm down, bro. You're making me feel funny. You're making me feel, I want to do that too, man. Chill out. I'm not ready to face that. I'm not ready to go in the yard. I'm not ready to plant them seeds. I'm not ready to do that. I'm still stuck in comfort. But you're going courageously. Hey, man, I don't like the way I'm feeling. And so now I inadvertently don't like you because I don't like the way you make me feel.
Correct.
Right? And so in order to continue up that scale, we have to understand that now once we get to a certain level, now comes the hatred, now comes the pressure, now comes life, now comes the circumstances that only come at that level. Kind of like the sea. They say the deeper you go, the bigger the monsters are.
Now
because
the question is whether or not you can, you're 1,000% right. Whether or not once you get to that altitude, if you keep landing,
bam,
and you're like, well, hold on, if the only fuel you're getting is praise, you get up a little bit, you got a little bit of praise, you go a little bit more,
it don't take you far.
Down. Right.
Praise don't take you far.
The challenge there is that two things you said. Number one, people, if you do allow your light to shine, there are going to be people that are going to feel a certain way based on the light you are. A couple of reasons. One, they just don't like your light. No problem.
No problem.
Number two, there's something inside of them that is upset that they didn't let their light shine. Number two. And then number three, it could be they genuinely, you've triggered them in some other way. Now let's say this to ourselves. The greats, the highest achievers, right? Because if we look at life as, let's throw the word success out the window. I think the word success is overused. Because a person can be successful and not have achieved much. Because in their eyes, that is success. And no problem. But if you want to look at the highest achievers, I believe the highest achievers have figured this out. And what they've figured out is how to silently ingest that and use it as fuel. And the key word there is silently. Silently. And I think the perfect example of that is Tom Brady. Right? When he came out the draft, okay, cool. He went up to Kraft, the owner. He said, "You're not going to regret this." He had side eye from everyone else that was drafted ahead of him. He had the media side. He had the media saying, "Oh man, you really think you're going to be that great?" But silently absorbed that. That is the key. Can you be so strong and resilient to silently absorb the hate to take it to the next level? That, I believe, is the key. So as an example, there's a lot of people out there that say, don't share your dreams with people. Don't tell the world what you're going to do. Don't tell your family what you're going to do.
Just said something.
Don't do that, because then they're going to project negativity on you, and they're going to project it. My response, and I would have wholeheartedly understood that my entire life. Keep it to yourself, because people are going to try and douse your flame. And no problem. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that being said. My question then is, of the highest achievers, they've been calling their motherfucking shot from day one. But the difference is that they used that dousing water, and it wasn't a water to them, it was fucking lighter fluid. That, I believe, is the key. Because there's a lot of people out there that'll say, well, you know, don't tell anyone, this and that. I understand what you're saying. But maybe you do. Maybe you do. If you're ready for what's about to get doused on you, that you can intentionally jujitsu it, bottle it up, and use it for later on. Quietly. That, I believe, is the key. That, I believe, is what Jordan did. That, I believe, is what Conor McGregor did. That, I believe, is what Muhammad Ali did. That is what I believe Tom Brady did. They were able to put out there and say, no, I'm going to be one of the greats. Oh, yeah, sure. They didn't stay quiet about it. Mm-hmm. They did it, and then they harnessed that negativity. I think a lot of people that do say that are the people that can't handle that negativity being doused on.
Can't handle it.
But the highest achievers, I think, knew how to poke the bear, bottled it up, then got to work. And I think that's the key difference. The key difference is 90% of the population are going to allow that hate to douse them. 5% of the population are going to bottle it. And then the last 5% of the highest achievers, don't let it douse them, bottle it up. And then those top 5% are the ones that then drink that. They drink it and they're like, oh yeah, motherfucker, bet. Quietly. I'll be at the gym. Where are you going to be? Man, that, I believe, is the top 5%. Because I think, now, if you're selling a product, who are you going to sell it to? You want to sell to the 10%, the 5%, or the 90%? You want to sell to the 90%, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Correct. Right? You want to sell Ozempic to the 90%. I think so much Ozempic sells right now because it's selling to the 90%.
Right.
Right? So from a sales perspective, it is easier to say, don't share your dreams. People are going to try and douse you. That's the 90%. What I would argue, talk your shit.
Walk tall.
Walk, talk, bottle that shit up, be ready for the hatred and be ready for the hate and the jealousy and harness it as an energy.
You need it.
Correct. Now, it might not be the most delicious energy. Everyone loves admiration. Admiration is delicious. Admiration is a ribeye medium with a little sea salt, some melted grass-fed butter. Admiration is delicious. It's easy to be successful if you have a ribeye steak every single meal. Absolutely. But the question is that can you still be in the gym and all you ate was beans for your protein? And all you had was white rice and beans, but you got your protein in, even though it didn't taste the best, even though it wasn't even fucking seasoned,
mm-hmm.
but you took it.
Mm-hmm.
The hate and the jealousy is fucking beans.
Mm-hmm.
Beans, protein, go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the difference in the 5%. I'm interested in being in the 5%.
Same.
I'm interested in trying to figure out these little lessons that are not popular, that are uncomfortable, but are rooted in reality, not rooted in sensibility, not even rooted in logic, right? Because what I just said right now is not very logical. Like, why would it be logical to disrupt things? Why would it be logical to disrupt the order of things? Why would it be logical to go out and being who you are, perhaps even intentionally disrupt it? You know how many, there are probably fighters out there that were coming up with Conor McGregor that were better than him. Same with Mayweather. I'm sure there were fighters out there but I think that's their secret. I think their secret is how did they intentionally harness jealousy, envy, and hate, bottle it up, and use it as the fuel that they needed to then get quiet, to still put in the work. I'm not implying that McGregor didn't put in the work. I'm not implying that Brady didn't put in the work. I'm not implying that Muhammad Ali didn't put in the work or Jordan didn't put in the work. But I think the secret that they knew was that it's okay, it's admirable, and it's reality. It's not logical, it's not comfortable, it's fucking reality. And the reality is that if you want to be at that altitude, the only way you're going to have enough fuel in the tank to get to that altitude is if you fill that motherfucker up with not just admiration, with not just support, with not just cheers, but also with booze.
Both.
Correct.
Both.
You see what I'm saying? So now
that's the only way.
Correct.
Period.
So now that we know that, perhaps there are ways to generate that. Perhaps. While it may not be comfortable, it definitely isn't comfortable. It definitely isn't comfortable to say to somebody, hey, go kick over that beehive. That's not comfortable. That's not logical. That's probably not even sensible. But if you want honey, that's where the honey is.
Man.
That's where the honey is.
Man.
So now how do you prepare yourself? Get suited up, armor of God, for those of us that are people that are men of faith. That is what I believe is the armor of God. Put on your beekeeper suit, and that's the metaphor. Because bees love, and bees are bullies. Oh, let me go get my crew, and they want to swarm you. That's haters. You ever met a bee by himself? He ain't gonna do shit.
He ain't gonna do shit.
A lone bee.
He ain't gonna do shit but buzz.
He ain't gonna do shit but buzz. And at the end of the day, if he does sting you, you're like, ow, that hurt. Fuck you. Now, if you got a pack of bees, if you got a swarm of bees or whatever the fuck they're called, now you could be in trouble. In the same metaphor is that if you're a lion, and a lot of us want to use this metaphor, we're lions, we're this. One hyena comes around and starts fucking with you, you're like, all right, no big deal. He's a hyena. But a pack of hyenas, you got to be careful with.
You got to go reload.
Correct. But at the same time, if you understand and you live your life and you're like, no, I know the wolves, I know this, I heard an interesting thing the other day, and I don't even know how true it is. They said wolves don't growl. Or excuse me. Wolves don't bark.
No.
And I was like, ooh. I was like, I fuck with that.
Yeah, wolves don't bark. They make a lot of noise.
Right? Is that okay? So wolves don't bark, right? They howl.
Mm-hmm.
They growl. They attack. And they mind their motherfucking business the majority of the time. Right? I was like, ooh, that's interesting.
I like that.
Interesting, right? They don't bark, though. I was like, got it. It's interesting, right? So now it's like, all right, how do we use these metaphors in our own lives? How do we realize that at the root of all of humanity is the fact that we are animals? And we need to understand that. We need to harness that. And we need to realize that the game of human nature is never going to change. Never going to change. No matter how comfortable ChatGPT makes our lives, there's still an aspect of human nature that goes into, and there's still a certain level of animalistic energy, animalistic rules. There's still schoolyard rules. There's still schoolyard rules.
Big time.
One time we were at the gym and there were some people there. I'm like, who are these people? I remember I saw, I'm like,
yeah.
They don't be on our playground before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, you're visiting our playground and you want to try and take over our playground.
All over the damn place, all in the way.
Moving things. Oh, we're here for a baseball tournament.
The bravado, though, like.
Right. Exactly.
Not being courteous to the members, just
right.
in the way.
It's like,
move for us.
Here we are. We paid a day pass. It's like, good for you. But there's still a certain amount of animalistic intrigue that comes along with those situations. And I think it's about being very calculated. That's a word that I've been using lately in my own mind. Is that what is the best calculated move to make? Right? So even as I'm going to the gym, there's a switch that flips in me. Once I'm walking up those stairs, it's like switches on, switches on,
Turn that
and
fire
it
on.
changes the energy that I can get from my workout. And I think the same could be said about life in general. And how many of us are just going through life using only cheers as fuel, using only support as fuel. But we got to keep landing because it's not nice, it's not comfortable
No,
to think that it's advantageous
no,
to kick over the beehive.
no. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stay away
You
from
don't
that.
disrupt.
Make too much noise.
But I think if you want to be, I'm not here, top 1%, be a billionaire, be a top zero. I'm not saying that everyone even has the capability to get there. And I'm not implying that I have the capability to be 0.0001%, because a portion of that also has to do with talent and the number of years you put it in the gym, right? But it has to be concurrent putting in the work, while also understanding that you can harness the energy of the universe, right? So I think the same could even be said about social media. You can harness the power of the energy. You have, if you have 1 million followers, you can use let's use grams of energy. I don't know, we'll just make up something. I'm going to use 3 grams of energy. And by putting out something on social media, good or bad, it has generated 2,000 comments of 0.002 grams, right?
They're generally not good comments.
Great. But now herein lies the lesson. 0.002 times 2,000. Whatever number that comes out to. 40 grams. You now took 3 grams and you made 40 grams. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. You know what's interesting about that, to that point, to add to it? I love that. Comments, right? So let's talk about social media specifically and the algorithm in itself. The more comments, the more engagement.
Right.
Doesn't care positive or negative.
Correct.
It's engagement. The more engagement you get, the more they're going to show it to more of the people who are using that application.
The next time you put up a reel, brother, misspell something in the title.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Hey,
hey, it's their THEIR
right.
and not their THERE.
Thanks for the engagement.
Correct.
Thanks for the energy.
Correct.
Because now
Correct.
they don't know the difference.
Correct.
Between or either way, it's fuel.
That's what I'm saying.
Man, that's a hell of a point.
That's what I'm saying.
And you said something else that was so powerful early in the beginning of that statement. You said silently. And I put a big circle around that, silently. Then I put an arrow down that said humbly, right? And then it took me to a conversation I was having with someone in general. It's just kind of how I govern myself with relationships and people and things. Yeah. And it was some behaviors that I wasn't fond of, right? And that can be, I can think of friends, right, that still want to come into your life, or people that you have to move yourself away from, or environments that you have to separate yourself from, right? Some things you don't tend to like. You're like, And I was having a conversation with somebody, an individual, and I said, well, here's the deal. I'm very intuitive, right? I said, I won't react, but I'm going to respond. And it's that silent, right? Because reacting means now I'm matching you.
Right.
Meaning if you're bringing me negativity, you're bringing me negative energy. If I react to that, now you're distracting me. If I react, I'm going to distract. I'm going to distract away from the energy that I need to stay on.
That exact mistake is a mistake that I have made thousands of times in my life.
We all.
Where now, if somebody gives you 0.02 of a comment and you respond to it with 0.05, that's a net loss. You see what I'm saying? That interaction is a net loss for you. So now it's this energy game, right? So if you and I come here and film for an hour, we say how much energy? This took 3 grams of energy. But what's interesting is that when me and you leave here, is our energy higher or lower? It's usually higher because of who we are, because we spiral up together.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to go somewhere else and you're gonna go and you're gonna meet your nephew, and you're fired the fuck
Fired up.
because you just talked to your brother for the last hour,
And I may share with him the
shit.
same message we just talked about
Right.
to help him at a younger stage learn.
And he's gonna get this little bit, and now you might instill in him this idea of harnessing the booze.
It's almost a form of
Yeah.
protecting that energy, right? Because if that energy that you need to be on to continue at that altitude, right, you have to protect that energy. And if every time, right, what they say, they say lions don't really pay attention to little stuff down here. It's like if every time a lower level vibration trying to mess, they're throwing up at you, and you come down to play their game. How many times do we see celebrities who do so much on their character and do so much with their talent that now they've reached a level of admiration, they've reached a level of respect, and we're looking like, man, I respect this person, not because they're unresponsive, but because they're able to consistently sustain a level of energy that we admire. And then what happens when a naysayer or some comment or something, and they come unraveled and they jump online and they comment back to one commenter in Canada somewhere in somebody's basement, and they're giving all this negative, unraveled, unhinged energy. And now we almost look like this person, we don't even know their first and last name, but now you allowed yourself to let them make you come unwired. And so now you come down in my eyes a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And it's important to protect that energy and to do it, to your point, silently. I see you.
But when every once in a while, every once in a while,
oh yeah,
you have to unsheath
yeah,
the sword. And again, I think a great example of that is 50 Cent. So now to what you were saying is that this person that we look at as having reached a certain pinnacle of having earned respect. What I would say is that if we just change the word to they have a certain amount of energy.
Yeah, they got a certain amount of energy, right?
Energy. And so now the question is that interesting? Personal decision is then going to be, how do I want to absorb my energy? That's a personal decision.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong if a person says they want to absorb and they're like, well, no, I understand what you're saying. I get it. No problem. This is going to be a very uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. The vast majority, 90% of the population, are going to hear this and be like, I'm not kicking over a beehive. That's crazy. Why would I disrupt other people? Like, I believe in karma and everything. I'm like, no problem. It might be a very uncomfortable thought process. And I'm not saying it's the only way to be successful or to achieve. My interpretation of the highest achievers is this observation that those highest achievers have one commonality, which is haters. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I believe it's because when we look at someone as celebrity, when we look at someone as a star, right? What is a star? A star shines. A star has a certain amount of energy, right? A star quality. Oh, that person has star quality because they're allowing their light to shine. But then the question is, how are they maintaining that light, right? So it's very interesting. So it's, even though we might look at it, well, they've earned respect, maybe, or what they've done is they've absorbed energy, used it, put it to work, honed their craft to the point where they can continue to perform at a very high level while also absorbing the energy from those around them, good or bad. I believe that, listen, there is a wonderful kindergarten teacher out there who has been a great kindergarten teacher for 25 years, and she's absorbed, or he's absorbed, she, 99.9%, she has absorbed this amazing energy of being a great school teacher, kindergarten school teacher, and she's absorbed only positive energy. Great. I understand that. That can be success. My counter to that is that if you want to achieve to your God-given capability of what you can potentially produce, because this is a production conversation. This conversation is for men. If you want to produce to your capacity, what you need is energy.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is that energy tank, if we can now take a step back and we can say, well, fuck, what you're telling me is that I've been trying to fill that energy with positivity and all this, but I could have also filled it with hate. Yes, that's exactly what I'm telling you. again, I think a great example. Again, you have 50 Cent. You have, even on the rise of like the come up of like Tupac. Right? I mean, think about it. He was on the come up, and his whole thing was, I'm gonna purposely create hate towards myself. Tupac went to Juilliard. He was an artist. He was this. He was that. Tupac. Here, controversial opinion from Mach. Tupac went to Juilliard. He was in a movie called Juice, and then stayed in that character for the rest of his life. He came to realize that when he played that character, he was able to generate more energy from the universe than by playing any other character. Think about that. Think about that. That's deep. He said, when I played this character, I absorbed energy from communities. I was embraced. I absorbed this energy. I could then play that character and absorb the energy by making this music. I could make one song and get 5 million people to buy it. So what did they do? They paid with energy, and he absorbed it. He then decided to stay in that character for the rest of his life. It ended up being a fatal, maybe miscalculation, while at the same time, maybe he's wherever he is right now in his spirit, and he's like, I did what I did and I stand by it. God bless. I'm not here to critique anyone's life. I'm here to make an observation that I believe he was in the movie Juice, stayed in that character, and was like, wait. So if I play this character, I can get all this energy and attention from the world. I'm staying right here.
So,
my interpretation.
Powerful. He was taken out for being almost too bad. Now, how many do we see taken out for being too good?
Or never having risen to the heights that they could.
But how many martyrs have come and go in this world who've only projected love and kindness and were still taken out?
Because they take advantage of them.
Boom. So if you can be taken out, either way.
Correct.
Just be you.
And if he decided to then play a game that maybe was a little beyond his, he was playing a game and he was playing with fire. Mm-hmm. And he took it to the point where maybe he got burned. Again, I don't know the answer, because some people will say the same about Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
They look at Big, they're like Big grew up, he had like this, or heard about Jadakiss the other day. There was an interview with Jadakiss, and his parents were there, and he's on this podcast. And Jada, do you see this? I love your music, my man. And
was he talking different?
Well, no. He was talking different is that his parents were saying like, oh yeah, he went to private school. And the father's like, yeah, what a lot of people don't realize is that he went to private school, he did, and I'm like, okay. So that therein could lie the answer. What character are you deciding to be that you believe is who you are, right? That's who you're deciding to be in the world, because you believe that that's going to harness your authenticity and you can absorb the energy from the world to be able to become the most powerful version of yourself, to produce what you can produce with your God-given talent, right? If you were to look at, there's one person I have a lot of respect for in the entertainment business, Mark Wahlberg. He has achieved things that are impressive, very impressive.
Especially if someone started off as a rapper.
Very impressive, because if you look at all of the people around him, and he had great people around coming up, like his brothers were like New Kids on the Block and all this, you know what I mean? Like but he held himself. I mean, he made Entourage. He's done all these things through the years. And I'm like, what did he do? Now, he might not have gone down the path of
Italian Joe
playing the bad guy, but I can tell you one thing. I'm sure he had to growl at some people as a wolf.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, even we're talking about 50 Cent. And that's why I like this wolf metaphor of a wolf doesn't bark. So it's like when you bark, you're reacting. Right, which is what you said before. The minute you react, so how many of us, guilty, have barked at things that displeased us, at things that were even being done against us, versus having the
staying in our true nature, man.
Staying in our true nature, and having the calmness to see what's being done, to not bark, and then to decide whether or not this is a growling interaction. And those that are not, we walk away.
Oh yeah.
But still knowing when to growl. It's a very, very interesting metaphor. And I think to kind of like bring to land the plane, right, is going to be, okay, you want to get to those heights? You're going to need fuel. Where are you getting your fuel? And that's probably the biggest lesson for anyone watching. Where are you getting your fuel to get to the heights, to get you to the destination you want to go? There's an interesting metaphor that says, not even metaphor, statistic, that some crazy like 80% of the population, live within 100 miles of where they grew up, or whatever that number is. And it's like, all right, well, if you really want to get to that other destination, are you realizing that jealousy, envy, and hate are types of vibrations that can also be harnessed? While they might not be the most delicious, they are nutritious.